layers inside layers, opening into more layers. My vagina amazed me. I couldn't speak when it came my turn in the workshop. I was speechless. I had awakened to what the women who ran the vagina called vaginal wonder. I just wanted to lay there on my mat, my legs spread, examining my vagina forever. It was better than the Grand Canyon, ancient and full of grace. It had the innocence and freshness of a proper English garden. It was funny, very funny. It made me laugh. It could hide and seek, open and close. Then the woman who ran the workshop asked, how many women in the workshop had orgasms? 2 women tentatively raised their hands. I didn't raise my hand, but I had orgasms. I didn't raise my hand because they were accidental orgasms. They just happened to me. They happened in my dreams, and I would wake in splendor. They happened in a lot in water, mostly in the bath. Once at Cape Cod. They happened on horses, on bicycles, sometimes in the treadmill at the gym. I did not raise my hand because although I had had orgasms, I did not know how to make it happen. I thought it was a mystical, magical thing. I didn't want to interfere. It felt wrong being involved, contrived, manipulative. It felt Hollywood. The surprise would be gone and the mystery. The problem, of course, was that the surprise had been gone for 2 years. I hadn't had a magical accidental orgasm in a long time, and I was frantic. That's why I was at the vagina workshop. And then the moment had arrived that I both dreaded and longed for. The woman who ran the workshop asked us to take out our hand mirrors again and to see if we could locate our clitoris. We were there, the group of us, on our backs, on our mats, searching for our spots, our locus, our reason. And I don't know why, but I started crying. Maybe it was sheer embarrassment. Maybe it was knowing that I had to give up the fantasy, the enormous life-consuming fantasy that someone or something was going to do this for me. The fantasy that someone was coming to lead my life, to choose direction, and to give me orgasms. I could feel the panic coming. The simultaneous terror and realization that I had avoided finding my clitoris had rationalized it was mainstream and consumerist because it was, in fact. Terrified that I did not have a clitoris. Terrified that I was one of those constitutionally incapables, one of those frigid, dead, shut down, dry, apricot-tasting, bitter. Oh my God. I lay there with my mirror looking for my spot, reaching with my fingers, and all I could think about was the time when I was 10 and lost my gold ring in the emeralds in the lake. How I kept diving over and over in the bottom of the lake, running my hands over stones and fish and bottles and slimy stuff, but never my ring. The panic I felt, I knew I'd be punished. The woman who ran the workshop saw my insane scrambling, sweating, and heavy breathing. She came over. I told her, it's gone, I've lost my clitoris. I shouldn't have worn it swimming. The woman who ran the workshop laughed. She calmly stroked my forehead. She told me my clitoris was not something I could lose. It was me, she said, the essence of me. It was both the doorbell in my house and the house itself. I didn't have to find it, I had to be it. Be it. Be my clitoris. Be my clitoris. I lay back and closed my eyes. I put the mirror down. I watched myself floating above myself. I watched as I slowly began to approach myself and re-enter. I felt like an astronaut re-entering the surface of the earth. It was very quiet, this re-entry, quiet and gentle. I bounced and I landed and bounced. I came into my own muscles and blood and cells, and then I slid into my vagina. It was suddenly easy and fit. I was all warm and pulsing and ready and young and alive. And then, without looking, with my eyes still closed, I put my finger on what I had suddenly become me. There was a little quivering at first, which urged me to stay. Then the quivering became a quake, an eruption, the layers dividing and subdividing. The quaking broke open into an ancient horizon of light and silence, which opened onto a plane of music and colors and innocence and longing, and I felt connection. Calling connection as I lay there thrashing about on my little blue mat. My vagina is a shell. a tulip, and a destiny. I am arriving as I am beginning to leave. My vagina, me.
Here is a vagina happy pack. This is from a woman, an intimate geography by Natalie Angie. The clitoris is pure in purpose. It is the only organ in the body designed purely for pleasure. The clitoris is simply a bundle of nerves, 8,000 nerves to be precise. That's a concentration of nerves than is found anywhere else in the male or female body, including the fingertips, lips, and tongue. And it is twice the number found in the penis. Who needs a handgun when you've got a semi-automatic?
This monologue was based on an interview with a woman who had a good experience with a man. Okay, Lee.
This is how I came to love my vagina. It's embarrassing because it's not politically correct. I mean, I know it should have happened in the bath when salt grains from the Dead Sea. Enya playing, me loving my woman self. I know the story. Vaginas are beautiful. Our self-hatred is only the internalized repression of the hatred in patriarchal culture. It isn't real. Pussies unite. I know all of it. Like if we'd grown up in a culture where we were taught fat thighs were beautiful, we'd all be pounding down milkshakes and Krispy Kremes, lying on our backs, spending our days thigh expanding. But we didn't grow up in that culture. I hated my thighs, and I hated my vagina even more. I thought it was incredibly ugly. I was one of those women who had looked at it, and from that moment on, I wish I hadn't. It made me sick. I pitied anyone who had to go down there. In order to survive, I began to pretend there was something else between my legs. I imagined furniture, cozy futons with light cotton comforters, little velvet CDs, leopard rugs, or pretty things. Silk handkerchiefs, quilted pot holders, or plate settings. I got so accustomed to this that I lost all memory of having a vagina. Whenever a man was inside me, I pictured him inside of a mink-lined muffler or a Chinese bowl. Then I met Bob. Bob was the most ordinary man I ever met. He was thin and tall and nondescript, and he wore khaki tan clothes. Bob did not like spicy foods or listen to Prince. He had no interest in sexy lingerie. In the summer, he spent his time in the shade. He did not share his inner feelings. He did not have any problems or issues, and he wasn't even an alcoholic. He wasn't very funny or articulate or mysterious. He wasn't mean or unavailable. He wasn't self-involved or charismatic. He didn't drive fast. I didn't particularly like Bob. I would have missed him altogether if he hadn't picked up my change that I dropped up on the deli floor. When he handed me back my quarters and pennies, and his hand accidentally touched mine, something happened. I went to bed with him. That's when a miracle occurred. Turned out, Bob loved vaginas. He was a connoisseur. He loved the way they felt, the way they taste, the way they smell, but most importantly, he liked the way they looked. He had to look at them. The first time we had sex, he told me he had to see me. I'm right here, I said. No, you, he said, I have to see you. Turn on the light, I said, thinking he was a weirdo and freaking out in the dark. He turned on the light, then he said, okay, I'm ready to see you. Right here, I said, I'm right here. He began to undress me. What are you doing, Bob? I said, I need to see you, he replied. No need, I said, just do it. I need to see what you look like, he said. Bob continued. He would not stop. I wanted to throw up and die. This is awfully intimate, I said. Can't you just do it? No, he said, it's who you are. I need to look. I held my breath. He looked and looked. He got breathy and his face changed. He didn't look ordinary anymore. He looked like a hungry beast. You're so beautiful, he said. You're elegant and deep and innocent and wild. You saw that there, I said? It was like he read my palms. I saw that, he said, and more, much, much more. He stayed looking for almost an hour as if he was studying a map, observing the moon, staring into my eyes, but it was my vagina. In the light, I watched him looking at me, and he was so genuinely excited, so peaceful and euphoric. I began to get wet and turned on. I began to see myself the way he saw me. I began to feel beautiful and delicious, like a great painting or a waterfall. But I wasn't afraid. He wasn't grossed out. I began to swell. I began to feel proud, began to love my vagina. And Bob lost himself there. And I was there with him in my vagina, and we were gone.